this wasn't actually the first club you were at. In fact, before that, you played with a semi-professional team.
Yeah.
And went via Malta. So, I mean, how was it starting out in non-league?
Helped me a lot, to be fair, you know, just like how rough it is down there when you're playing and having to do things. And at that time, I was like slim, wiry and stuff, and pushed off the ball a lot, you know, and fullbacks would dominate as well. So like, I'd get to the byline, but then they'd put their body and they just like throw you over like the boards that are on the side of the pitch. So,
well, when you were at that level, were you certain, like, someday I'm going to play in the Premier League?
It's one of those. I did believe that I had the ability because my dad just kept telling me, you know, kept drilling it into me, you know, and it's a case of me trying to believe it. I started playing like for like Plymouth, and man, I started realising actually, I'm a lot faster than a lot of people, and I have tricks to go past people. So
On to your next FUT item. We've got a couple here. You've got quite the range of FUT items actually. And at Crystal Palace, when you first got there as well, you were playing under Ian Holloway, I believe. And
it was Dougie Freeman.
Oh, he was soon after, was he?
Yeah, and then it was Ian Holloway. Yeah. No, good character, you know, especially for us, you know. It was very upbeat and stuff. Started seeing his dance moves in the semi-final.
Really? Well, you've got a few dancing managers by the sounds of it. Alan Pardew in the FA Cup final as well.
I guess you got to enjoy the moment, innit? You never know.
Yeah.
I mean, like scoring in late in that game, we didn't think Man United are going to come back because our reputation when we scored first was almost like it's going to take a hard nut to crack, you know what I mean?
You scored in the semi-final though at Wembley. I mean, that must have been a pretty cool moment. How did that feel?
Yeah, Wembley's always been a dream, you know. Obviously, I grew up around there, so one of the bucket list targets, you know, and I ended up getting that. And it's good. And to play there in the final.
What was it like coming up against that higher level of fullback all of a sudden once you got promoted? Like players like Zabaleta, Kyle Walker, Bakary Sagna.
Like by the time I started believing in my ability and stuff, I didn't have no fear in the opponents that I was playing against because I felt like, you know, in the conference, League 2, League 1 and stuff, you know, I wasn't that strong, and I ended up making myself like get the strength that would be required to have down in those lower leagues and then bringing it into the Prem. So like I found like my physical attributes, like I was a lot stronger than a lot of the fullbacks. So I like taking on, and I'm relentless with it. Whether they win the ball 9 times out of 10, it didn't matter to me. I'd go because I know one time I'd go past and then make a difference. I don't think like even the team and the managers that were coaching me gave me enough time to think about what the opposition fullbacks were like, you know.
Right, moving on. Before we go on to that, you're a bit of a FIFA legend in that you have your own skill in the game. Where did that come from?
I done that in school in year 8. You know, when you know, it's just a skill that I used to do, one of the many playground skills. Obviously, when I was playing with my mate, and he was like, "You ain't done that skill that you've done in school." I was like, "Which one are you talking about?" It's like the one where you flick it over. So then it always worked in corners in school, like in the cage, you know. And I said, "Yeah, all right, cool. We'll see." And then literally, I swear, the Tottenham game came up. And I ended up doing it because I said, this is the right time. No one hasn't seen it. They won't expect it. And I was out in a flash, and people just like, wow, do you mean? I said, what do you mean? Like, if you want to ask any of my friends from school, they'll tell you about this from a long time ago, like 2003, 2002.
Speaking of your international career as well, you're a Congo international. I'm curious for a guy who's born and raised in England as well, what must it be like when your international duty, even a home game, is in Congo? Like, you must be traveling quite a bit and going to pretty interesting locations every international match day.
Yeah, no, it's become a part of me. Like where, you know, I'm intrigued to going into different countries and seeing what it's like and stuff like that. So no, Congo obviously was like an eye opener for myself.
You got to the African Cup of Nations semi-final, I believe, in 2015.
Yeah.
I lost out unfortunately to a really good Ivory Coast team, players like Yaya Toure. I mean,
obviously we beat them in the group stages, and they beat us. So that semi-final, you know, hard one to take, but we still had chances to beat them. But you know, they had the quality in the end, and they had way more experience. You know, some of the players are still playing at the highest level now.
Everton now. You've even got a birthday FUT item here as well.
Oh man, FIFA are respecting me a lot, innit?
And at the time, Ronald Koeman was the manager when he joined there. But unfortunately, I believe he suffered an ACL injury and were out for a bit. So by the time you came back, you would have been playing under Sam Allardyce, and the club was in a completely different position. Was that a bit of a shock?
I guess football happens, isn't it? That managers come and go sometimes, you know. But obviously, I would have hoped for the manager that signed me to be back when I'm being back, because then that gives you a different confidence, because you know, like, the belief is still in there. When the club's changing, you know, obviously we had a lot of like players come in. We had about 10 players come in that summer, and I'm having to adapt, you know, all the people that's playing, like with, like, for example, Ross Barkley, Delafeo, all these players left, you know, players left that I built up a good connection with before injury. So yeah.
Another player you played with there was Romelu Lukaku, who at the moment is in possibly the form of his life.
No, he was on it, you know. We had our competitions, you know, whether that be skills competition or finishing competition, we'd always do something like that. And then obviously, because he used to drive me to training, and he's my little chauffeur, innit? Yeah, big Rob, you know, I had him in my pocket.
On to the next one. This time you're at Sporting. You've got a Europa League item there as well. Outstanding pace as well. But how was your first taste of European football?
No, it was good, and that's probably one of the reasons why I went there, you know. Me coming back from my injury and stuff, you know, all the steps that I've taken, like to go and play in like Belgium and then in Portugal, have definitely helped, you know, just in general football education as well.
I'm curious to know, how was the Lisbon derby, you know, Sporting v Benfica, how did that compare to the Merseyside derby? Yeah,
just as intense, to be fair. Still to this day, at the minute, I think like the derby that I felt like, you know, wow. See that Villa Birmingham derby, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was rocking. That, like, all them other ones rock as well, but like, I don't know, there's just, I don't know, just something that was like, whoa.
You've played with some spectacular players as well over your career. Another one, of course, who was at Sporting at the time was Bruno Fernandes.
Everything that we used to do at Sporting used to go through him. Literally, like, any of my chances created was from him, you know. When I'm looking back at my clips, that some of the chances that I had to score, because I missed some sitters. Like, you know, Bruno was the one setting him up a lot, you know, and I must have put it on WhatsApp. My WhatsApp status, you're just like the chances and stuff. He said, "Hey, it looks like the same guy setting you up every time he messages me," and it's just like, because it actually is. I did feel like he was going to come and do well in the Premier League, and I called it from early. So yeah.
And then your current FUT item, you're at Middlesbrough at the moment. Was it frustrating at the start of the season when the deal didn't fully go through?
Yeah, 100%. Because what you always want a full season, or have a chance to play a full season of football. Last 3 years, I would say, I've been almost like catching up with everyone. Like, it's like a head start. Everyone's almost got a head start, because I don't know, I've come in like at the last minute to Aston Villa on the last day of the window, the last day of January window to Anderlecht, and then the last day last year window to Sporting, you know what I mean? You know, and obviously it was almost the last minute with Middlesbrough, so I just feel like I've just been catching up every time. I'd like to, like, you know, have like just a normal start and come into the season as everyone else has, you know.
But at the moment you're playing under Neil Warnock.
The gaffer's calm, innit? If you're on his wrong side, man, he'll let you know, innit?
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, I know what he's like, you know. Like when we played against Mill or whatever, you know, came up at half time and he's come at the end and says, now the forwards were non-existent. Yeah, that's just the gaffer, and the gaffer's always been like that.
And speaking of yourself at the moment, so I mean, how do you feel? Do you feel in good form, you know, and what does the future hold for Yannick Bolasie?
Me personally, it's just about getting back into the routine of like playing and being in the change room, being able to travel, to all of these things, you know. Like when I first, like, for the first game and stuff, first couple of games, get lost in it, because you're so used to just like go home training and then do your own stuff at home, where now it's almost like, actually I might be doing too much now, you know. I need to tone it down because there's a game and stuff, so getting used to that, you know.
All right, well, Yannick Bolasie, thanks very much for joining us today.
Man, it's been a pleasure.